बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम।
तो सबसे पहले एक छोटी सी दुआ या तस्बीह के साथ इस क्लास का आगाज़ करते हैं। मदद फरमा अली अल्लाह, मदद फरमा अली अल्लाह, मदद फरमा अली अल्लाह, मदद फरमा अली अल्लाह, मदद फरमा अली अल्लाह। या मौला या मौला या मौला, मदद फरमा, तौफीक, ताहीद, हिम्मत, यारी, तौफीक, ताहीद, हिम्मत व यारी। या मौला या मौला या मौला। आज हमारा टॉपिक जो है वो हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह से इस्लाम हमारा तरीका एंड आवर religion is dynamic, meaning not only we keep moving forward, but we bring changes into our tariqa as the time allows and wherever we live. If we go back to the time of Prophet Muhammad and the time of Shariat, when he brought the Quran and when he was teaching us the religion of Islam, and the time and the place were different, the understanding of the people at the time was different, habits were different. So at the time of Shariat, he would tell the people of his time, do not ask question, just do as I do. The example of that is like a child. So when child is growing up and he start to mimic his parents, he does everything the parents does. Sometimes they may understand, sometimes they may not understand, but they follow the parents. Why? Because child trusts his parents, that they are there for his safety. Just like that in the religion, the people of that time who had put their trust in Prophet Muhammad, they were following him at the time of Shariat. And others who did not trust him did not follow him. So on the very beginning or very first day, he called the people of Makkah and he stood on top of a small hill and asked the people, if I tell you there is an army of the enemies behind this mountain or behind this hill, would you believe me? And people said, of course we believe you. You are Amin wa Sadiq. You are honest and we can trust you. He said, if that is the case, then let me tell you, Allah has chosen me to guide you. Now imagine if someone comes today to us and say, that do you trust me? If we don't know that person, it would be hard for us to trust that person. Even if we know the person, depending on what he's saying to us. If he's saying something that we have never heard of or we have not tested it, it would be hard for us to trust that person. Just like that, back 1400 years, some people said, we trust you and we wanted to listen to you and see what you have to say, and then we can make our decision. Some said, we trust you blindly regardless. And others said, no, we do not trust you. So as Prophet Muhammad received his revelation from Allah, he would bring those messages to the people of Makkah, and the words of Allah got around into Medina and other cities, and even into the northern Africa, Yemen, and on this side, what we call today Iraq and Iran and other places, Syria. And people, even if they did not know Muhammad, but they had heard of Muhammad, and they knew the family. They knew the family of Muhammad. They said, yes, we have heard of him. And if they were Christian or follower of Jesus, would say, oh yeah, we knew that there should be another prophet coming. And so this must be the prophet that our scriptures tell us, and now he is there. So their trust was put on the scripture they had. Not necessarily they knew Muhammad. So this trust was put on different ways. Again, we had people who knew him, people who say, okay, we trust you, but let's see what you have to say and then we will decide. And other people said, because our scripture said there should be a prophet coming, we will follow you. So there were different ways and different kind of trust put on Prophet Muhammad. Even after they put trust on him, there would be time of the test. And people will bring the iman, they will say, okay, we will trust you, we will follow, and then they will leave. Because your test is on your iman when things are not going right. Because when things are going right, there is no test, and it's easy to keep doing either with a blind faith or with a true faith. But when the tests come, that's where you can see, all right, so do I want to give up my livelihood? Do I want to give up my life for this person? Or how much do I want to follow this person? Our Hazrat Imam in 1993 in London, I'm not going to repeat the entire Farman, but he used a couple of words. So follow your religion with a conviction, not when it's convenience for you. I'm just paraphrasing. Look it up. It's in the book. So the test of our iman, it cannot be when it's convenient for us. if we are following our tariqah, if we are following the Imam because it's convenient for us, or with the mafi, due to the lack of words, when it's profitable for us, we follow him, and if it's not profitable for us, we don't follow him. I don't know what other words to use for this kind of thinking. So back into the time of Shariat, so people just followed him without asking a single question. Who followed him? Much later on, they found out that yes, the blind faith they had put on him was correct. Because blind faith sometimes takes long time to reveal itself one way or the other. But even in that time, there were people, intellectuals, they followed him with his words, they followed him with the understanding, they understood exactly what he was preaching, the words that he was using, the revelation he was giving, they understood. So they were following him with a full conviction. They knew from the day one that he's preaching something which is correct, which is right, and that's how it should be. So they followed him. And this was just time of Shariat, and he was bringing new Shariat, he was changing things. Whatever they were doing before him, the way of namaz, the way of zakat, and all the other rites and rituals that he was bringing, some were similar but still new to the community. And then he also stopped few things. Whatever they were doing before, they said, do not do this or do not do that. So he stopped few things and he brought few new things. Here comes time of tariqat. As people grew up, they wanted to learn more about what they were doing. Now they wanted to learn. Just like an example of a child. Once he's 5-6 years old, it's time for him to go to school to learn. Same thing in our religion. People came into tariqah. They wanted to know what they are doing. And this was the time for them to ask question. Because in tariqah, when you are learning, that is the correct time to ask question. Not for the sake of argument, but for the sake of learning. And people of that time, they became more intellectual. They learned anything and everything about their own tariqah. Now I'm going to use the word tariqah because by then Islam already had few different tariqahs. So we were talking to children last night over here. How do we understand the religion and tariqah? Islam is our religion, and there are many tariqahs, and one of the tariqah, the way we follow the Islam, we call it Ismailism. So Ismailis follow the Islam, the way of Ismailism. So religion and tariqah is, so tariqah is the way to follow the religion. So by that time there were many different tariqahs, and whichever tariqah people were in, they were learning their religion, Islam, the way they were following the Islam. Again, even within tariqah, there were few things they were doing it at the level of Shariat with a blind faith while they were learning about their tariqah. And again, same thing, there were people who would say, okay, so the tariqah I'm on is not the right way I thought my religion was about. And other people say, I'm conforming myself that yes, this is the right tariqah to follow my religion. So again, within the Islam, there were different kind of people. While they were learning, they would change their mind and move from one tariqah to the other as they learn about their religion, the Islam. And we went forward with the different imams, with the Dawr Shariat and Dawr Tariqat, and we just keep moving on all the way until Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, he came on the seat and he declared that this is the time of Qiyamah and our tariqah or the tariqah that we are in is the tariqah of Haqiqah or Haqiqat, the truth. So whatever we have learned, he's saying that is the truth, and if you know it, then you know what is truth. The religion, because its example is of a child at the beginning, now we can say the religion of Islam has grown up and is an example of an adult. He has followed the parents as a child, he has learned, and now he knows everything, what is truth and what is not truth. And we enter into the Haqiqat. Now in our Haqiqi religion, so when we enter into Haqiqat, did our Islam religion, the dynamism within the religion, did that part change? I would say no. Even when we are adult, we keep moving forward. We keep changing things. So what did not change in Islam, or what does not change in a human? Your soul, your identity stays the same. Your size of your body, your look, the way you talk, way you understand things, all have changed. But your identity, your soul is the same. So the religion of Islam, the core of our tariqah, never changed. It never changed. So what was the core of our tariqah? Do the good thing, follow Allah, follow Rasul, and follow Ulil Amr, the one who has the Amr within you. That was the core. There was the same teaching of Prophet Muhammad. And why stop at Prophet Muhammad? This was the same teaching of Jesus. And why stop at Jesus? This was the same teaching of Moses and all the other prophets before him. that follow Allah, follow Rasul, or the messenger amongst you, or the guide amongst you, and follow Ulil Amr, the one who has Amr amongst you. That was the true in Islam from the day of Adam. It was true at the time of Prophet Muhammad, and it is true today. So core never changed. People changed. The look and feel of our tariqah changed. The rites and rituals that we were following at the time of Prophet Muhammad, 1400 years ago, or even some of the rites and rituals we were following 600 years ago with our peers, may have changed today. So why do we think that today we cannot change anything in our tariqah? Because our tariqah, the Imam is the soul. Imam is the sole authority to change things. So let's say today he says that we are going to have 3 du'as, but you can recite all at the same time. Not 1 in the morning and 2 in the evening. Would we have any objection to that? Whatever Imam comes and say, okay, we're not going to have a niyaz anymore, or chanta anymore, or majlis anymore. Would we have any problem with that? Why? Because we are seeing things as an adult. But if you were a child, what would we do? If you are still in tariqah, what would we do?
Question.
We will question it. So does our questioning part changes when we are adult? And that's what we want to talk about now. The questioning that we have, the queries, sometimes we wonder, that part does not go away. Even if you look at a child, he has a curious mind. The curiosity doesn't go away. Understanding may change, but curiosity doesn't go away. So if you are asking a question because you are curious and you wanted to learn for the sake of learning, then that's good. So how do we understand today's time? And let's look at just the change of the Niyaz Piyali. Did we learn anything from that? That's my question would be, not why Niyaz Piyali was changed. The core, the Niyaz didn't change. Does it matter if you are drinking from a glass piyali or the plastic piyali? So what did we learn from that? As an adult, we should learn from it. Anything that happens, it happens for a reason. And we need to see, did we learn from it? If due to whatever reason, it may not be part of our iman, our belief, but did we learn anything from it? Do you understand where I am going? It may hurt us because we believe, our iman is that if we are drinking niyaz, Abe Shafa, which is the shifa, the cure of all the disease by itself, the niyaz never went away. Niyaz was still there. It was just so. changed. So our look changed. We don't look same as when we were 5-10 year old. But our core never changed. We still are who we are. So what is the question? What is the learning from it? And this is the bottom line that we're going to discuss today. When we change the Niyaz Pyali, if we had a question in our mind, the why Niyaz Pyali changed, if this was the farman of the Imam, then why we have a question? We have no question. Because that's what he says, and he has a sole authority to change anything he wants. He does not need our permission, our confirmation to change anything. So the question or the learning would be, if due to a virus or the scare of a virus, if we can change the Niyaz Pyali to safeguard our physical being, our physical health, have you ever thought that we can also get a virus spiritually? Do you think we can get a spiritual virus? How would we receive a spiritual virus? How can we get a spiritual virus? Let's take the same example of the physical virus. If there was a person sick and you drink from the same pyali as him or her, you will get that disease, the virus. If a person was spiritually sick, and if you start believing in his way of iman, his way of thinking, he will make you sick too, spiritually. If we can change the Niyaz Pyali, do we have enough guts or understanding to change those people around us who is spiritually sick? Do we even understand the virus?
Identify.
Can you identify that virus? Do we see how important it is to not only think of our physical health and well-being, we should have higher understanding. We should also think, because we have a soul and a body. Look at how much worry we have about our body. Have we put any thought to our spiritual well-being, our spiritual health? We keep staying around the viruses, spiritual viruses. And because we don't understand what we do, we keep getting spiritually sick. So how do you know if you are spiritually sick or spiritually sick? How do you know? Just like in the physical sickness, let's say when you are sick, even though you like biryani, when you're sick, you have no taste of the biryani. So when you are spiritually sick, आपको मज़ा नहीं आएगा. You would not like to do dua. You would not like to do your ibadat. You will not like to do anything that has to do with our tariqah or our religion. Because your soul is sick. And we have to be our own doctor. You know what they say? If you don't know if you have the virus or not, do this, this and this, do a self-test. And if you fall into any of those, then seek professional help. We have to do our self-check to see, do I like to do my tasbih? Or did I like to do my tasbih before and not anymore? Meaning we were healthy, we like the biryani, now because we are sick, our taste palette has changed, we don't taste the biryani anymore. We don't like the tasbih anymore. We don't like to do our dua anymore. We don't want to do our ibadat anymore. Or we are being lazy. Just like when you are sick, you don't feel like doing anything. So when you are spiritually sick, you don't want to do any of the rites and ritual. You don't want to do any of that. So how do you cure your soul? First, you have to identify you are sick, that you have a virus. Because if you don't think you are sick, you have no reason to be seeking medical help. And just like in our physical health, you go to professional, doctors, and then whatever prescription they write you, you cannot just take all the medicine and take it in one day. You follow his direction. इसी तरह से, once you identify that your soul is sick, then you can also follow your remedies at home, what our peers and dais and our grandparents and parents have given us, to do more tasbiyat, more giriyazari, ibadat. You can do that too, home remedies, which is perfectly fine. Or you can seek professional help. And then if you do seek professional help, then whatever prescription is given to you, you follow the direction. And complete it. So there are three medicine, I would say at least, to cure our spiritual sickness. First is very basic, our rites and ritual. So when you are sick, you're supposed to keep yourself more clean. You're supposed to do things that you normally don't do, like don't eat hard food. And then second is the giriyazari. Take a lot of showers, do a lot of giriyazari, tasbiyat. And then the last thing is to quarantine yourself, do the ibadat. Do a lot of ibadat, remembrance. And when I say ibadat, it does not mean that you wait for 4 o'clock in the morning. Just sit and go into the thought of Imam, Allah, the Noor, whatever way you wanted to remember him. Quarantine yourself. Sit aside hour or two and concentrate in your ibadat. And it does not matter what time of the day or night that is. So, spiritual sickness. What else did we learn from this change of Niyaz Piali? What about our intellectual sickness? If we are around the people who has a virus, intellectual virus, ill concept, ill thought, following the wrong people or the wrong tariqah, and if you sit with those people who are sick intellectually due to the ill concept, you will not even know, and the virus will come get you. Again, let's take this same example, and then we at least have 2 doctors and few nurses over here. Tell me if I'm wrong. If there was a person in this room with a virus, we will not know just by looking at it. But if you know, what we will do? We will stay away from that person. Just like that, if there are people out there with the ill concept and who do not understand the tariqah, stay away from the virus. We are smart people, we are adult. Because if you receive that virus, intellectual virus, where would you go to cure that then? Again, you would have to do what? Self-quarantine, maybe reading a lot of books, or seek professional help. And you have to cure your intellectual sickness. And we are talking about not worldly book, but a spiritual sickness and a spiritual intellectual sickness.
Ill concepts.
Ill concepts. So we learn all this from these changes. So I would say, Shukr Mullah, that in our lifetime, He has given us something to ponder on. I mean, we can go to two different ways. One, we can say, why all these things were changed? I don't like it. You know who does that? Children. As an adult, we accept things. And we work on it. We learn from it. And we move forward. So just by this one single change, from this single change, we learn that there are physical viruses and there are spiritual viruses and there are intellectual viruses. And we need to pay attention to those, because if we don't understand the virus, we may catch it. And it's okay to change things. To change those friends who call themselves friends, but they're probably giving us viruses. क्योंकि अगर वायरस अगर रिलेटिव में भी है, इवन विद इन फैमिली भी है, व्हाट डू यू डू? यू क्वारंटाइन योरसेल्फ. तो अगर स्पिरिचुअल वायरसेस है, you need to distance yourself. जी.
So let me read this reference from Quran, chapter 41, verse 53. अनकरीब हम उनको अपनी निशानियां आफाक में भी दिखाएंगे और उनके अपने नफ्स में भी, यहाँ तक कि उन पर ये बात खुल जाएगी कि ये वाकई बरहक है. क्या ये बात काफ़ी नहीं है कि तेरा रब हर चीज़ का शाहिद है?
We will soon show them our signs in the horizons and in themselves until it is evident to them that it is the truth. And does it not suffice as to your Lord that He is the ever-present witness over everything?
So, is Allah showing us sign in our physical and our within ourselves? Is this a sign that He's trying to show us? So we may know the truth. And this was written 1400 years ago. Meaning this happens again and again and again over the time. Allah always and keep showing us signs outside of us, around us, and within us. So we may know the truth. Who will learn from it? The people of intellect, people of knowledge. And others will go through it, have all the pain and suffering, and never learn from it. So who are we? Are we learning from these events? Or are we just surviving this event? Another thing, that how we are rushing toward grocery store, make sure we don't have enough food to eat. Are we doing extra ibadat? Are we doing extra remembrance? Are we storing more sawab, more good deeds? Have we done any of that? Why so much emphasis on the physical and hardly any
attention
on our soul? I mean, we understand if we did not have a soul, none of these things will matter. Person who have died yesterday, do you think he or she cares if we have a coronavirus or not? The important thing was our soul. It was never our body. But look at how much we are paying attention to our physical being, which is temporary, and paying no attention or hardly any attention to our soul. Did we store enough tasbiyat and girazari and remembrance to make sure it lasts us for a few days? Just in case if we get sick, do we have enough girazari and tasbiyat to stay with us? Are we learning from it? Are we paying attention to it? I think this is a great opportunity. I would not say this is a burden on us. I would say this is a great opportunity to learn from it. So now I will stop here and we will open the floor for questioning. Inshallah. Ya Ali Madad.